All right. Good evening, everybody. Good Sunday evening to everybody. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're safe. Hope you're being smart. Welcome to DJ Mondo's Atomic Luau, and this is Season 1, Episode 6 of SketchLab. This is the ongoing art demo that I'm doing with the Apple iPad, and the app Procreate, and the Apple Pencil. And it's my ongoing project to create a mock-up or an homage to an old comic book cover. A lot of people ask me who does the artwork for my social media sites. I do that artwork because I really love comic books and particularly old-style comic books and old-style comic book artwork. So I'm going to do an homage, and I thought you guys might like to walk along with me. I'm just going to set a timer here for 30 minutes and work on it periodically. I want to try to do this at a semi-regular time every week, so you guys can see the progress from the preliminary sketches all the way up to the finished piece of artwork. I've chosen for my homage is issue 1 of The Incredible Hulk. The original was drawn by Jack Kirby, one of my favorite comic book artists ever, who's basically the king of drawing, of king of comic book art, and with a very distinctive style. And I really like doing an homage to that style, so I'm going to do an homage to the first issue of The Incredible Hulk, and I'm going to put my own characters in the places of the characters that appear on that classic comic book cover. So if you've been following along, you went through the preliminary sketches with me, and where I placed all of the characters and the elements that are going to be in there. I created new layers and started doing some cleanup of the preliminary sketches, and then I created layers on top of that and started doing inking of the layers, doing the ink layer for comic books. So, and if you know anything about how comic books are made, it's basically sketches, inks on top of that, and then you drop in your colors and your color values to create shadows and things like that. But I'm doing all of that digitally in the application Procreate, and hopefully I can show some of the things that Procreate can do on the way, and if you guys got any tips or techniques that you want to share with me, or any of your own artwork, definitely there's links in to all of my social media sites in the description below, and just go ahead and link to that, and I would be glad to see any artwork or hear any tips that you have for me. So real quick here, I just want to go through what we've done so far. Let's move this over to the side so you can see the drawing. And as you can see, I've put the Hulk cover next to the preliminary sketch here, so I can kind of not necessarily do a one-for-one of all of the elements in it, but at least try to duplicate some of the elements in it or pay homage to some of the elements that are in it. But what we've done so far, and I'll show you the different layer groups that we've created here by turning them off first. Then I'll turn them on each one at a time so you can see. And the DJ booth. Okay, so what we have basically in front is the DJ booth, which I've started inking here. Eventually, I'm going to put the Atomic Luau logo on that. And behind the DJ booth is DJ Mondo, who's going to be standing there. Right now, I think he's in his pencil stage. We'll start inking that as well. Behind him is his gorilla companion, his robot gorilla companion. He's taken the place of the Hulk in this drawing. We were in the midst of inking him when we had to stop last time when the timer ran out. And behind him will be a crowd scene, which I'm kind of ambivalent about. I'm not really good at drawing crowd scenes. What I might do is sneak in a photo reference and maybe discolor it and do some inking on top of that, and kind of in order to kind of make it my own. We can kind of do, the good thing about Procreate is that you can import other elements and kind of do a collage sort of effect as well, and you can add effects to those. And that's pretty much how it will stack up. And then as there was the on top of that was all of the logos that kind of comprise the DJ Mondo logo and some of the splash elements from the that are an homage to the old style comic books. I like how the old style comic books used to have those splash balloons on there that kind of give you a hint as what's inside the comic book to really kind of draw you in. It's like, see the incredible this or see the amazing that. They kind of do that for old style comic books. They don't do it so much on the new comics anymore. They're really kind of, the covers are really either kind of subdued because they don't want to, and also because they don't want to cover up the artwork with a lot of sensationalized word balloons and things like that. But that element I usually going to save the logo stuff for last, because we might actually do oops, hold on here. What did I do? All right, let's undo whatever the hell we just did. There we go. I think we just deleted our DJ booth there. All right, and there are our logos. Okay, so let's go back to working on. Let's go back to inking the gorilla. That's where we left off. So I'm gonna go ahead and zoom into that and finish up with the inks there. Oops, we're getting a battery warning on our iPad here. I was watching a bunch of videos on it earlier and didn't bother to charge it before I started this, but I think we've got enough. I think we got enough battery left in order to complete this here. So let's go ahead and zoom in there and start working on the inks on that back leg on our gorilla here. Make sure that we're in the ink layer. That's it right there. And I'm going to go ahead and set the timer for 30 minutes on the drawing here. And give me just a moment. And then we'll go from there until our alarm goes off. And we can turn off our music. All right, timer's set. All right, and since this is an homage to Jack Kirby, I'm going to be trying to use kind of thicker lines here. He wasn't really subtle about the lines that he used. A lot of people, especially people who are classically trained like me, like to go for fine lines when they're doing inking, and also like even photographic style shadow effects and stuff. But there's none of that here. I want this to have no question that this is a comic book drawing. There's no classical art elements in here. So I want everybody to immediately know that this is a comic book style drawing. So let's figure out what kind of pen we're going to use here. We can go back to the studio pen, because you can get some pretty thick lines with that. And let's jump in where we left off here. It's a bit thin. And what is making that noise? I don't know what's making that noise. We'll figure it out later. All right, so let's thicken up the line a little bit. And the thing about Procreate is you can make those lines really, really straight just by drawing and holding them. And you can put the end of that line wherever you want it and just leave it there. But it does help you a whole lot with the curves and with the straight lines here. One of the things I really love about Procreate, even some of the other applications that I use like Clip Studio Paint, can't do that. I really wish Clip Studio Paint could do that. You can also use it to draw ellipses. Just draw your circle and hold it. And it tightens up that ellipse. The line's a little bit thick there. Let's get rid of it, thin it out a little bit. Working inside. There we go. All of my outside lines tend to be a little bit thicker when I'm drawing like this. So I'm doing, especially if you're doing that Kirby style, you like to work with really thick lines and really thick markers. So what I usually do is just outline the entire image first and then go back in and work on the inside lines, which really makes it stand out from the background. And it also helps, like I said, one of the things that I was saying last time is that any of these elements here, once we draw them, and we can break out the layers and use them in other pieces of artwork. So for example, if I wanted to make a decal or something out of this, I can break that out, put it in its own piece of artwork, and send it off to a service bureau to have a decal or a t-shirt made out of it if I just wanted to use the gorilla and not the other elements in the drawing here, which that comes in really handy. That's one of the reasons layer groups are so important when you're doing this kind of drawing. Is good. Let's thin down the inking a little bit so that we can go in and start working on the inside elements like that, like this jet nozzle right here, which is probably going to be painted gray. There's the axle, or the that makes up his knee joint, and we want to put in some, he's got hands for feet, so we want to put those elements in. Finish up his toe fingers. I got to work on the symmetry here, but I'm working so fast. But one of the reasons here is I'm working so fast that I don't even care about it, because this is kind of an exercise for me to start working a little bit faster and not spending so much time on detail. The only problem is sometimes your symmetry suffers or something like that, but one of the things I'm doing here is just trying to get the feel for using Procreate, and also for using the pencil. So I'm not even worried about details. Alright, so there we go. Alright, let's get in here, work into some of the inside lines here. I think I was drawing this bolt over here and I didn't complete it, so let's finish that. This elbow joint here. I kind of envision that as kind of some bulbous kind of silver axle or bolt there. So let's get that out of there. Go back in and fill some of the darker spaces here. You can drag and drop if you ever want to fill a space here. You can take your color picker and drag and drop it to the element that you want to fill. So like that. All right, that's pretty good so far. Let's go in and tidy up some of the lines here. The angle of this arm changed a little bit, so I don't think these lines are going to fall where they're going to fall. That area there is kind of is kind of where the bicep is going to be, so I kind of envision this seam here representing some kind of bicep actuator or something that's under his skin there. I don't want that to be a straight line. I want it to be curved. I'm gonna go with the contact there. All right, and let's Let's do that. Let's see what it looks like with the preliminary sketches turned off. So that's the inks so far. So let's turn those back on so that they'll guide us. Give us some more. This is another seam right here. That's that. All right, and of course his chest is separated from his lower abdomen by this chest plate here, and just kind of give it some. That's no good. We want to give it some kind of thickness. So seems like it folds under. That might even be a little shadowy area, so that it'll give you the illusion that it's kind of sticking out there. And then he's got these ab elements here. Now I'm never quite sure how much to work into this ab area here, to show his abdominal actuators or something that are under there, and how curved they should be. Sometimes they come down to a little point, but let's leave them for now and just get the basics in there. We can come back and work in more details later. Let's go ahead and put his reactor core in. Not an arc reactor because I don't want to get sued by Disney and or Marvel, but and it's basically triangular. It's this bulbous triangular utility that sticks on his chest here. And then there's another light inside there. And again, to kind of give it some heft. It's off center, but I don't even care. Just have fun with it. And there's the seam where his chest plate breaks down. One on this side. Okay, there we go. Excellent. Okay. All right, great. Yeah, so definitely he's shaping up here. I'm starting to feel better about this than I was before. But I think it was because I wasn't taking so much time with it. But again, the goal is to kind of loosen up and to be free with it, rather than just worrying about every little stroke, and every little piece of symmetry. I'm not even gonna get that deep into it. I do like his face, though. I should put that on a t-shirt or something. So let's go back in and do his shoulder bolts. Again with the ellipse. Thank you, Procreate. Oh, what the... One thing about Procreate, the eraser turns on once in a while, even when I haven't touched the eraser, but I'm not going to worry about that. It doesn't happen frequently enough to be a problem or to affect, your productivity, but if it does, I'll let them know. All right, there we go. Shoulder bolts. And let's do the back energy modulators first before we go for the other shoulders. There's others on the shoulders, but those fall in a particular way. So let's do this. There we go. Zoom in. It's a bit curved. Another one down. All right. How are we gonna do this? Let's oh, I got an idea. Let's use a trick. Let's pretend this is an ellipse. Straight line from here to here. Straight line from here to here. And we go in and erase the excess. So yeah, so we got a nice elliptical with some straight lines there. So we didn't have to try to fudge that by hand. And we can do the same thing on the other side. Nice ellipse, modulate the size, go back in, draw a straight line, wait for it to straighten out, put it anywhere you want. Then get your eraser, go back in, and get rid of the excess. And there we go. All right, so let's see how he looks with the under layers turned off. So there we go, that's him. That's the doctor with just his outline there. We'll go ahead and put in some more details, and I want to do some more on this arm over here to kind of make it, you know, at least try to give it some symmetry. So let's do, whoops, stray mark there. Always undo. Love the undo. It's not like drawing on paper. I gave up drawing on paper years ago, and I've never looked back. And I know some purists out there are like, well, I'll never give up paper. No, I'm sorry. This is a new age, and paper is over. You know, the versatility of the digital age is here, and if you're still drawing on paper, I'm not mad at you, but you're limiting what you can do with the finished product. So let's do this, and let's fill these areas. There we go. So now he's got that. So now he's got that little divot on his upper arm so that he can actually bend his arms. I'm not sure how far, but at least he can bend them. All right. So there we go. So let's get back in, get the other layers turned back on, so we'll know where those other elements fall on the shoulders. He's got these other items on his shoulders that you can plug in, you know, power couplings and stuff, but there's also some like radioactive rods or something that come out of there. I don't know. I don't quite know. But they're all connected to his core so that he can power other things like a bass amp. Like if you wanted to plug a bass amp into him, you can plug a bass amp in. Thicken that line up a little bit here. And the cool thing about this is that if I really wanted to make some elemental changes on this, I could import it into another application like Clip Studio Paint. And Clip Studio Paint will convert the layers, like convert raster layers into vector layers. And once you convert them to vector layers, you can do anything. They have a tool in there where you can actually make the lines thicker or thinner as you like it without having to redraw them. But with the raster layers, you have to redraw the line. But once you convert them to vector layers, you can do all kind of crazy stuff with them. There's that, and this is like there's a little divot in there. Okay. All right, and then there's a seam in his arm here where, whoa, too thick. Here. I want that to be curved. And then connect these. This whole thing is a panel that extends out this, so that will, and so there you go, that's what his shoulder looks like. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Again, I'm not worried too much about, and let's go ahead and make this an ellipse here instead of just because it's kind of tilted toward the front. That way we can work into that item there. Get rid of that, get back in. There we go. And let's do another ellipse here. And here. And here. There we go. All right, and so those are your 3 power couplings, and we come back in and create that seam, that panel seam there, and erase those 2 lines there. Okay, great. All right, so yeah, our robot's shaping up. I might work into the abs a little bit more. There's usually like I said, there's usually a pattern on his abs so that he can bend his torso. You can see the plates in the front, but that's the basic structure right there. Let's see what it looks like without the sketching. Oops, sketches on. Sketches off. Okay, and that's your basic shape right there. I think the outer line should be a little bit thicker. I'd be happy if they were a bit thicker, but I could always thicken those up later and transferring it to Clip Studio Paint or something like that. But if I were to thicken them up, just hypothetically, it would probably go like this. There we go. That might be a little too thick, but let's try it again. There we go. There we go. And you can always go back and go over those things, but yeah, that's our basic gorilla right there. And everybody needs a basic gorilla, if you ask me. All right, having done that, let's see how much time we got here. Let's move on to, we've got about 10 minutes left. Let's move on to DJ Mondo himself. You turn all those sketch items back on with him. Let's, 5 minutes. Running out of, 5% battery life. It's a race against time to complete this before the timer goes off, but I think we'll make it. All right, so let's close off. Let's coat the gorilla, and let's go in and zoom in to DJ Mondo and start inking him. First thing we want to do is turn down the opacity on. Turn down the opacity on this layer, and there we go. That'll give us some room to work. And we go back in. I'm going to add another layer on top so that we can start inking. So layer 19 is going to be our ink layer for DJ Mondo. And for him, I'm going to actually start off with the, not with the studio pan, but I'm going to use the 5% battery life. Yes, thank you, 5% battery life. I'm going to come in with the fine tip and start working on his face. So let's see. Zoom way in here. He's one of the smaller, he's actually one of the smaller elements of the drawing here, so. And again, go in, even if it's got some sketchy qualities here. DJ Mondo smiling because he is jamming. He's rocking the house. He's giving the big psycho smile because he's a psycho. He's got his goggles on. They ask you, DJ Mondo, why do you wear the goggles when you perform? Well, it's showmanship, actually. It's because when the crowd starts throwing eggs and tomatoes, I can actually continue playing. So, you know, that's showmanship. That's how you get through a show. There you go. And that's the power of the atomic luau. You can play even through a storm of eggs and tomatoes. All right, so let's switch up here. Whoops. Back in here with the fine tip. All right, so there we go. Almost looks like he has a goatee. I don't want to give him a goatee, but I can fix that up later. There we go. All right, so let's change our brush here and go back to our studio pen. I'm gonna kind of keep it thin here. Which it is thin, I assure you, but because we're zoomed in so far, it looks like a really thick line. So let's get that hand in there, and that's how you recognize a DJ. He always has he's got his earphones, but they're always, of course, only over one ear. Which, you know, why do you do that? I don't know. All right. And the thing about DJ Mondo is that he has these. Can't really see him in this drawing, but he's got these power couplings on his on the backs of his hands. And that's for making force fields, and of course you need those in addition to the goggles for the eggs and tomatoes. All right, here we go. All right, put on his do-rag. And then we can go from there. Which is all black. So we can do that. Now let's thicken the line up a bit here since we're going for it. I think the proportion of this left arm is a little out there, so I'm going to probably make it a little bit bigger. And sometimes you just kind of do that stuff on the fly, you know, use your preliminary sketch as a guide, and then if you want to change up something else, that's fine. Do it on the fly. Who cares? At least that's what I'm doing here. Again, I'm getting out of the habit of going into so much detail, and you know, right now we're going for speed. Big shoulders. It comes from carrying all that heavy DJ equipment. Heavy traps, you know. It comes from pulling himself up, jumping over fences, trying to escape house parties that have gone bad. And always the biker shorts, the cargo shorts. They're nice and roomy. Running gag here is I'm probably going to put a on his chest is a graphic of a graphic equalizer. This chest is basically a hologram that shows what he's thinking essentially all the time, because he's a cyborg and his brain is broken. So part of the broken brain manifests itself as this maintenance panel on his chest always shows what he's thinking. Most of the time it's a graphic equalizer that's bumping up and down, but sometimes it's pictures or computer stuff. But yeah, I'll probably put that on his chest. Again, it's another element. You can import that into Procreate and put a picture right there rather than something else. So let's do this. A little foreshortening on his arm, and then let's sketch his hand in there. I did a really poor job preliminary sketching his hand, so I'm gonna have to improvise on the inks here. But again, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Also, his lower legs are a little bit thin. I might thicken those up too, because if you're drawing superheroes, thick calves and thick lower legs sometimes kind of complete the picture. At least that's according to Dolph Lundgren when he played He-Man in the old Masters of the Universe movie. And that's time. All right. All right, well, that was 30 minutes. Let's see what we got here. As always, what Procreate can do is it saves all of the strokes that you create, and at any point you can stop and you can run a little movie that will show all of the strokes that you used to create the drawing up until that point. So I like to do that at the end of every drawing session here. So let's go in and do a time-lapse replay on it. And so we can see how we got here so far. And here's all the preliminary, extremely rough sketches of each character. You can select them and move them. Everything is in its own layer. DJ Mondo's booth. DJ Mondo's logo. That's the crowd that's going to be in the background. Those are the logos, the sensational logos from the cover. And then the breakout of the elements. In this case, it's his gorilla companion. Tightening up the sketches. And I didn't really like the way his legs are turning out. They're still a bit uneven and asymmetrical, but you know what? Who cares? I'm not even going to worry about that. And there's his jump jets, because of course you need jump jets. DJ Mondo's preliminary sketch. You know, I don't like how he's throwing up that hand. People may misconstrue how he's throwing up his hand, but he's actually kind of trying to get the crowd to dance. So there you go. Tightening up the elements here. And again, I changed the shape of that DJ booth desk on the fly while I was inking it, or before I inked it. Did some work on the crowd. I didn't really like the way it was going. I'm not really good at drawing crowds. So like I said, maybe I'll fudge that with the photographic element. Started inking the DJ booth. Some extra lines on there. Again, it's kind of an homage to Jack Kirby. Those decorative lines and stuff on the DJ booth is one of the things that Jack Kirby does when he draws machinery. So that's always kind of nice. Roll back Gorilla's face. And more inking. And I did some revamping of the arm. And this is where we are tonight. And this should be the last element here. Okay, great. All right. And we'll pick up there on... pick up there next Sunday. Ink and DJ Mondo, who'll be the next element. Thanks everybody for watching. I will repost this to YouTube, and make sure you like, comment, and tell me what you think about the drawing so far. Tell me if you got any pointers for using Procreate, and you know, any encouragement. I will definitely accept any encouragement that you can give me. I really kind of like doing this, and like I said, it's a good exercise for me just to kind of do something with some regularity, and also to exercise the speed of doing it. And also you get to see what something looks like from its concept to its preliminary sketch all the way through to its final render, and maybe I'll use the elements of it to make T-shirts or to or make posters or something like that. But in any event, I love doing an homage to Jack Kirby, one of my favorite artists, and I love doing an homage to Incredible Hulk, one of my favorite heroes, and I want to bring that kind of same old style sensationalism to the drawings that I do for DJ Mondo. Anyway, this is DJ Mondo from the Atomic Luau. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye.